go on to number 8 then, action to approve a permit to discharge fireworks, and that's in your packet, and this is a annual event. We've seen this before, those new on the board or last couple of years. Jeff Bendix does a fireworks display. Last year we did have one concerned neighbor, but after some investigation we found out that that neighbor had been notified, had been invited to the fireworks display and had gone through the appropriate steps, but I don't know what the deal was there.
Chair,
I'll make
I
a
think
motion.
that was a different fireworks display. Wasn't that for a poker run? I
No,
believe?
it was up there in Serenity.
Was it?
I'll make a
Well,
motion
I
to
know it was
approve
in
this.
Serenity, but there was two fireworks displays. It wasn't the Bendix event. It was the Zach Whiff.
We have a motion by Hatton to approve. Second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Let's go on then to number 9. It's action to authorize Commissioner Gable to go on a fishing trip to Nashville. No, it's not a fishing trip, was it? It was, Gable and a representative from the state's attorney's office to participate in the JDAI event in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And when is this supposed to happen, Mr. Gable?
This is in August.
Well, you know how hot it's going to be there in August.
Well, yeah, hopefully they have AC. No, this is similar to if you recall last year, Judge Means and I attended an event in Orlando. That was a conference, a JDAI conference. So JDAI stands for Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative. So it's a national level organization, the Annie Casey Foundation. That's kind of, I guess, the champion of this cause, and so Cudahy County is part of the JDAI effort, and the state level coordinator is coordinating a statewide trip to Albuquerque. So that's what this is about. And it's not a conference; it's a site visit to see how they do it in that county, what kinds of alternatives, detention alternatives they have. And so they're very interested in getting elected officials as well as folks from state's attorneys, law enforcement, school officials. So this will be a community trip, and it'll be at no cost to the county. So that's why
I think that last sentence that you said probably was music to our ears, no cost to the county. And thank you for taking that. And I always encourage.
We do pay some costs up front, but we will be reimbursed according to the email.
We always encourage our commissioners to participate in activities such as this because we have seen the results of Sarah participating in national events. I'll entertain a motion to
I'll make that
approve this.
motion.
We have a motion by Van Dusen, second by Waterman. Any more discussion? Any more discussion? And what are the dates on that? Do you know?
it's August.
The 15th through the 17th.
15th to 17th through August. It's not going to interfere with your campaign, is it?
Okay. I think we can handle a couple days.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go on to number 10, and we hit it right on time. At 10 o'clock, we have scheduled on here a report from the Watertown Development Company. Gentlemen, if you would come up and introduce yourself, talk right into the microphone. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Chris Shilkin with the Watertown Development Company.
Tom DeFiore with National Community Development Services of Atlanta, Georgia.
Whoa, you're a long way from home today.
Well, first off, thanks for allowing time for us today to come in and present our last 5 years of projects and what kind of return we're getting on our investor dollars, and also want to thank you all for your past and continued support of the Watertown Development Company. With that, Tom has been hired by us to facilitate our next 5-year capital campaign, which starts 2019 and beyond, and we're starting that process now, and we're well into interviews and working on our new 5-year plan and presenting that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tom and answer any questions after that you may have.
I'm glad to be here, and yes, I am a long way from home, but I'm almost a native. I spent a lot of time in South Dakota. We've worked in Sioux Falls for 35 years. We've worked in Aberdeen. We've worked in Brookings, Yankton, Madison, and I think a few others. And just a quick background, as Chris mentioned, we're going to be looking to fund the next 5-year efforts. And one of the things we know have funding economic development organizations across the country. This is not charity. You need to show people a return on their investment. And we process to do that both publicly and privately. And the best economic development organizations are like this one that are true public-private partnerships. I want to commend the county as well as the city for investing alongside the private sector in the work of the Watertown Development Company. So quickly, what we've done is we've taken, Chris and his staff put together 20 projects that they were involved with, both new companies locating here and expansions of existing companies over the last 5 years. Based on those industries that expanded or moved here, we have an economist that runs something called Implan, and they actually were or still are based in Minnesota, but it's the leading economic impact software, if you will. And I've got an extensive report here that I'm not going to hand out, but I am going to hand out an excerpt from it. But basically what Implan does is it models your local Cottington County economy based on trade flows in and out of the county within industries, and certainly these industries where Chris helped and his predecessors helped create new jobs and investment. The upshot is that for your hand these out here. Over the last 5-year plan, the county invested $38,000, I think, per year into the efforts of the Watertown Development Company. As a result of your investments and numerous others, publicly and privately, the 20 projects that they created, which you get a couple more on this side.
Now, that campaign ends this year, or did it end last year?
Close to
2018, yeah, that's what I wanted.
So we'll be getting a new funding cycle for 2019.
Okay.
But the document I just handed out, that one pager, shows those 20 projects over the last 5 years created 1,761 direct new jobs. Those can be directly traced to those projects and those companies. As a result of economics and multiplier effects and all those things, those 1,761 jobs created another 596 indirect jobs and 741 induced jobs. Indirect jobs, the best way to explain it is if, let's take Terex, for example, when they grow and expand and expand their business, local trucking company may add 3 or 4 jobs because of that. So that would be an example of an indirect job. An induced job is when Terex has 200 new employees making new paychecks. That consumer activity causes 2 new bank tellers and 3 new baristas at Starbucks. So those would be an example of induced jobs. But you have a total job impact of these 20 projects of 3,097 new jobs. Those jobs will, as long as those jobs stay here, those income impacts will occur every year in Cottington County. So $170 million in new payroll income and almost $800 million in new business output that will continue to recur every year as long as those original jobs stay here. Now, what does that mean for Cottington County? Well, if you look at this other page, and again, this is just an excerpt from this larger thing, larger analysis, but you can see here that the tax impacts were roughly $1 million in new taxes for the county every year. Again, that will be $1 million in tax revenue that directly resulted from the WDC's projects that will continue to recur in perpetuity as long as those jobs stay here. So the quick and dirty of this is that for your $38,000 per year investment in this organization over the last 5 years, you've got $1 million in new tax revenues every year.
Good return on investment.
That's pretty good. So I'm happy to take any questions about this, or Chris can tell you about the projects that are listed. If anyone would like this boat anchor of a report, let
I
me
think
know.
this does. This is fine.
Is that on a website somewhere so we can pull it up and look at it?
Not,
Or
but he has
Okay.
a PDF of it that he does.
yeah, I'd like a copy so I can look at it. Excellent.
First time I'll make this stuff.
Good. Thank Thank you.
and a lot of economics on that.
All right, questions for these gentlemen?
So the taxes shown, some of the combination of property and sales tax, the tax, the additional tax revenue, so for changing to the county, I would assume it's mostly property taxes, that's what we.
Correct.
For the,
In the model, the in-plan model does make some assumptions, but it's assumptions based on your county.
Right.
But if you look at the footnote down there at the bottom of that page 18,
Okay.
that explains a little bit more about what those taxes are.
Severance.
But yes, mostly,
Or the-
obviously, the capital investment comes from property taxes.
For a couple of the new commissioners here, we participated in this pledge process, and like Chris said, it ends in 2018. But to date, we have given $165,000 to the Watertown Development. And I've got a breakdown here. In 2014, it was 25,000, and then 15, 16, 17, and our pledge in 2018 were 35,000, for a total of 165,000. From my own personal experience, having worked with Watertown Development Company for many years when I had a real job at Lake Area Tech and working in business and industry, it's hard work. I mean, to get a new business to come into town, it takes a tremendous amount of work. Craig Atkins is who I worked with very closely at that time, and I was probably one of the first 5 people that got to meet a new perspective as the head of the business and industry training, because they needed help. They needed employees, and that was one of the key things to moving into our community. And so I had a chance to get quite involved in these processes. So it's very interesting, but it's very important, not only for new businesses, for the expansion of our existing businesses, because just like Terex now, and there's a couple of us here that have close relatives that work there, and we're so happy to see them expand and build here and keep the plant here, the headquarters in Watertown. So it's quite an expansion. So let's just get to the bottom line. In this new initiative, what you give us a suggestion of what you'd like to see coming from, well, we're probably the only government entity here, maybe the city, but the county. So am I putting you on the spot?
No, we actually have submitted a request moving forward, and I'm glad you brought up the Terex project, because as you know, projects are very competitive. We compete nationally for projects, and we are actually looking to, our initial goal, and we'll get a more detailed report about what we think we can fundraise, but our initial goal is to raise $1 million more than we did our last campaign. So go from a little over $2 million to right around $3 million. We know that is a tall task, but I think as we get the information out there and project what our next 5 years look like and the competitiveness of economic development, we think that's achievable. So for our requests moving for the next 5 years, we have requested $45,000 per year for 5 years for the next campaign.
Any questions, commissioners? Comments?
Chris, are there any projects or any new initiatives you want to share with us?
Yeah, I'll share with what I can. And one thing to note too is we are looking at expanding our board members, and one of the comments that came up was to include a county commissioner. So you guys are, I know I've been trying to come to meetings, and I'm always available for questions, but just keep that in mind too, as we have some bylaws to work on, so we'll take care of some housekeeping items and then approach when appropriate. But I think the biggest project now, obviously the Terex one, but we had bought about 100 new acres of industrial park site to the west of that. And just on that conversation alone with others, we've had a lot of interest in that. Should be an announcement, hopefully this week, of a new company locating in an existing building with future plans to build a new building out in that site, and then working on 2 others currently right now that are looking at the new, I'll call it the Joan Endries land, but we'll have a new name for the park as we get the design worked out.
It's exciting
Good.
Yeah.
for that area out there.
We need that. That's what this
Yeah, we do.
community needs.
And then workforce.
I'm glad you brought that up too. That's one thing that, I mean, LATI is a great ace in the hole, as I like to say. When people are looking for that, we can play that card, and it plays pretty well. Unemployment is very low, which is good for the existing people. It makes it a little harder in recruiting new business, but as the national employment level stays low too, that kind of plays in. That's where we have to build up the LATI story, our nice health care system, quality of life stuff. So kind of all-encompassing, you know, compared to 20 years ago where it was like, just move here, here's what we have. It's definitely changed, and we're trying to change with the times.
And also something, Chris, has, you've done a wonderful job since you've taken over and been very active. And we've been at meetings as well on workforce housing. That's
Yes.
another issue that needs to be addressed for people.
I should say that we've got a detailed 5-year plan. It's getting feedback now. So once that is done, we'll send that over as well.
Okay.
It hasn't had full board approval yet. It's been presented in a draft form, but it does address some workforce housing issues. We got about 5 or 6 categories we're working on, and it does
Right.
address that.
And the city, last week, I wasn't able to stay for that whole meeting, but they're trying to do a certain area that would address that there might be different sorts of rules so that would make it more affordable. So,
Very good plan moving forward.
Affordable.
yes.
All right, so what are the wishes of the commissioners? You want to kick this around for a week or 2 and put
Well,
it on the
there's-
agenda?
There's no action.
Just a
No.
proposal
No,
at this point,
No,
right?
and we'll review their budget requests when we do everyone
Yep.
else's.
Yep.
so.
Yep, and we'll try to get yours. It's very important. Our previous chair, Elmer Brinkman, was very involved with the Watertown development. I don't know if he was on the board or not.
They haven't had a board member before. So.
But he was very involved and spoke very highly of it, and that's, I guess, basically why he was so supportive of it. We got into the pledge the first time around. But we know, you do good work. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've always
Thank you, Brenda.
supported Watertown development. It was just at a different level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's increased.
Yes.
And we always appreciate and attend your annual meeting that you have, and we hear all the good news that you have to share with us. So appreciate that.
And thank you for attending our meetings.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
Are you starting to get kind of attached to South Dakota? So you
Certainly am,
So you, yeah.
as long as it's not January.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's hot in Georgia right now, too. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's go on then to number 11, action to approve claims for payment. And we have, I see about 15 pages of them. They're in your packet. Anything you want to point out that's unusual, Cindy?
Well, the total claims are $1,174,085.35. Of that amount, $590,077.27 goes to the state of South Dakota. Most of that is motor V collection fees from the month of May. So the remaining amount is bills to the county of $584,008.08. You know, on the first page there, at the very top, when you see something like that, that is a refund that has been issued by, through Memorial Park for somebody who qualified for a refund. They could not, they had a, you know, something happened, they could not make it, and there is a policy to refund those people their deposits or their camping fees. So the first 2 pages are pretty much election claims. The next page and a half is jury duty and witnesses. Nothing too much out of the ordinary there. There's really nothing, let's see, on page 5, you can see part, and I forgot to highlight this week, this month. Down in the government buildings budget, you can see 3 payments to the architects, BKV Group, amounting to $25,816.59.
But, Mr. Chairman, the 2,240, that's the change order.
That's the change order, correct, yep.
What was the total again, 25 what?
These 3 bills add up to $25,816.59.
Okay, thanks.
On the next page, in partway down the page, there is a courthouse remodel bill for Mills Construction. That's a partial payment of $24,678.44 based on their progress.
So that's the first payment.
Yeah, that's the first payment, yep.
You get paid.
Called a progress payment.
We'll see.
There's really, let's see, nothing too much. On page 10, you can see we paid $4,800 for mental illness hearings. That's part of the reason why our budget is taking such a hit.
Now with that new, I don't know what I want to call it, implemented through the County Commissioner Association, there's going, but that's on mental evals.
Right, that's not this.
Okay.
Yep, this is entirely different. This,
All right.
Yeah. You can see that we spent $8,200 in April and May for inmate mental health screenings. On page 12, towards the bottom of the page, we have a bill to Protect Roofing out of the Ag Building budget for $168,366. That is just the supplies to repair the Ag Building roof that suffered the hail damage. We did
Sure.
receive an insurance check of just over $258,000 last year. So in a couple of items from now, I'm going to be asking you to supplement the Ag Building budget for that $168,000. We'll just supplement it as we go with the insurance proceeds that we got.
Okay.
They were working on that on Election Day. It was a little noisy. So other than that, those are the bills that kind of,
Any
Stick
questions?
out.
for
Move
Cindy?
to approve.
We have motion by Hatton to approve, second by Gable. The only question that I would have is, on the construction project that we have going here, we're doing all right as far as being within budget at
Yeah,
this point?
yes, yeah.
And,
Just the caveats we made before, Mr. Chairman, about the project cost being what it is, and then also the accompanying projects of the sprinkler, basically the fire suppression system, so, yeah. So
But
it's
it's
the
just,
one- the-
that when we see these big numbers come in,
Yeah,
they kind of jump out at you, so we know that we're paying close attention and where we're at with 25,000, then another one for whatever it was, 24,000, so.
so far, just to give you an idea, Mr. Chairman, so that change order that was done for the architect for the redrawing of the plans, that's one increase, but then we had a decrease, that we, basically the architect taking a look at the plan saying, looks like we don't need this piece of equipment, so then the contractor can issue a credit, and that was a little over $8,000. So those kinds of things, as you progress through the plan, that kind of thing happens, so.
Okay, we have a motion
and a second.
and a second. Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's go into number 12. Action to approve an abatement application.
No abatements today.
How about 13?
We do have some automatic budget supplements. The first one is an automatic budget supplement to the Ag Building budget in the amount of $168,366 with insurance proceeds, which we received last year. There's also an automatic supplement to the emergency management budget in the amount of $118.10 for POD grant expenditures. We've received POD grant funds. We just need to do an automatic supplement for that. And then we have an automatic supplement to the emergency management budget for our pre-disaster mitigation plan. We have received $10,125 towards that plan from the state of South Dakota.
Make that motion to approve.
Motion by Van Duzen, second by Waterman. Any discussion?
Is that pod grant money from last year, or last year's, or is that the one
It's the one that
preparing?
we just, it's the one that we just did.
Okay, so it was just
This
this
I'm trying to see
spring.
if it tells me what fiscal year it was.
Oh, it was last fall, wasn't it, with the flu shots?
Well, First District worked on it. We just paid First District in April for the
Yeah.
completion of that plan.
Oh, I was talking about the pod.
The pond.
The
Oh,
pod
pod.
funding, that came from last fall, right? That's not the one going
Well,
forward,
these
is
are
it?
additional charges. We're having another pod coming up, and we've just been
Right.
receiving pod grants.
Oh,
and as
that will
we-
go towards
As we
that.
spend money towards the pod, we'll do automatic supplements, so, yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can you mention the extension building automatic, the first one you mentioned again?
116,000.
166,000, this is just the first bill.
168.
$168,366. And that, we do have a little, I think about $90,000 more in insurance proceeds that we
Okay.
can use
Okay.
for future automatic supplements.
I'm just transferring from the insurance.
Yes, yeah.
Any other questions? Good questions. Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Personnel changes, we have a couple of those in your packet.
The first one is Michelle Peterson. Pedersen. She is the database coordinator in the Director of Equalization Office. Due her anniversary step increase to step 12, $24.06 an hour. Pam Dornbush was a temporary hire at Memorial Park at step 1, $13.97. I believe she filled in when one of the people we had hired had to resign from the position. And then we have a person to fill that spot for the rest of the season, which would be a seasonal position. Sarah Bainan, step 1, $13.97 an hour.
Move to approve those.
Motion by Hatton, second by Gable. Any discussion?
Question, Cindy. That Pam Dornbush, that she was just hired for 4 days, is that correct?
Yep, she was hired until Milo could find somebody to finish out the season due to an unexpected resignation.
Short retirement, kind of like a lot of us. Okay, any more discussion? Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. I do not see any travel
No,
requests.
no travel requests today.
Any old business, any mature business to bring to the board today?
Mr. Chairman, just
Yes.
a reminder, next week is next Justice Advisory Committee meeting at 6:10 PM at LATI, so that's the 19th. So we can,
On which day?
Tuesday, 19th
The
and
19th.
6/19, okay.
At 4:10, or what time?
6:10.
6:10? All right, anything else? Any other old business? Any old business? How about new business? Any new business? Anything new? Pretty quiet. Let's go on to the open then. Is there anything for the open?
There are several events that there could be a quorum of commissioners attending. One starting out tomorrow morning, tomorrow morning, 7:30, Government Affairs. School Board Forum tomorrow night up at LATI, 5:30 to 6:30.
Which I will be on.
And that's all I have, I guess, that there could be a quorum at up till next Tuesday, so unless someone has something else.
Anything else from anybody? The question that I had when we were talking about, why didn't the school board election occur during the primary?
We discovered long ago that the way the county precincts are set up in the rural area is not conducive to combining with the
Sure.
school election. Some of my rural precincts have 3 different school districts in them. So
Okay, sure.
making sure that somebody got the correct ballot, there's too big a margin for error there for me. I know that there have been some complaints on why we did not combine, but I mean, our election was already in progress before the school district realized they were going to have an election. But like I said, this was before my time as auditor, that it was determined that it just would not work because of the rural school districts and the fact that Watertown School District extends into both Grant and Hamlin counties, you would also have to have cooperation with those two counties. It just would not work. The room for error is just too big, in my opinion, that somebody would not get the correct ballot.
Is that, Mr. Chairman, is that governed by state law or Secretary of State policy like the, say, city elections are, where it's the third Tuesday of June, or is it separate, school boards are separate?
School boards are allowed to, their normal election date is in April.
Okay.
The city of Watertown and Watertown School District have always combined their elections because it does work for the city of Watertown and the Watertown School District to combine, because you can have the 5 wards in the city, which are all Watertown School District, and then the school district has a rural precinct, which they bring in on that election day also for those people who are registered in the rural district. So it does work. It's just that I think the school district has an election every year, and the city of Watertown conducts their elections in the odd numbered years. So every other year, the school district is kind of on their own, and the last few years, they have not had any candidates. This year, though, they had 5 candidates for two positions, so that did create a race. But yeah, by the time their petitions were filed, our ballots were printed, so.
Do we, traditionally, the county is responsible for the expense of running that election?
No, the school district pays
The
for
school
it.
district does pay for it, reimburses it.
We assist them because they use our ballot counter, which was set up years ago when we went to the optical scan. That was kind of the agreement that if the county purchased this equipment, we would make it available to the city and the school district for their elections.
Good, all right. The only couple things I have here is on the 18th, which would be, that's Monday, is that right?
Yes.
We have a planning and zoning meeting at 7:30. We already make note that there's possibility of a quorum there. And also the Shake Shack is gonna be in town. 4-H extension, they have the portable wagon, they go from town to town, area to area. So get out and get your strawberry, vanilla shake, whatever is your favorite. They're very, very good, I'll assure you that. Anything else?
Mr. Chair, I'll be attending a noon meeting tomorrow at City Hall, Public Works Safety Committee meeting, and also I'll be at the School Board Candidates Forum tomorrow night.
Yep.
At Lake Area Tech, room 512.
Cindy, something that you will need to put on the agenda for next week is, I've received an email from Chris Jacobson, and I need to fill out a credentials form that we'll have to have action on to give,
NACO.
for the NACO conference, that I'm able to vote on those elections.
Yep, the board has to authorize the chair to sign the paperwork authorizing Brenda to be the voting member for Cottington County and NACO. It's just,
Anything else for the cause? Not anything for the exec session. Anybody need an exec session?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Hatton to adjourn, a second
Second.
by Gable. All in
Van
favor,
Duzen.
or
That's
Van
it,
Duzen.
yeah.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Same sign, we are adjourned. Thank you.
I wasn't gonna second.
Folks.
You didn't want to adjourn? Thanks, sir.